Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's 6-game slate. Mike, you've already been out on a hike. How's your Tuesday going?
Awesome Tuesday, man. Got a hiking with Adam Schefter. We hiked this PS Squad. It's called PS Squad Peak. It's right in like kind of above downtown Phoenix. It's so good, and yeah, got home right before 11:28 my time, which is important for me. I like to be home at 20. I like to be at my computer at 20 after for injury report stuff. So the timing was perfect. It was a really great hike. Watching Schefter kind of work while we're going through hikes and stuff was hilarious.
Did you have to pick a hike that had service? Did you have to be?
No, we didn't. No, he was pretty good about it. I was probably about the same as him. We were both, Dwayne Dedmon getting traded, and we were talking. He was like, "Oh, who broke the story?" And it was very funny to hear. And we talked. He is a big fantasy basketball guy. We talked a ton about his basketball team. He's stashing Mark Williams with hopes that Mason Plumlee getting cleared out. But yeah, it couldn't have been a better morning. Beautiful weather, timing. I hate asking off work ever. So I'm here. I'm prepped. I got some good nuggets and some injury stuff. But yeah, I could show. I got the picture up if you guys want to see my little picture with him and Schefter. So that's
nice.
at the top. It's pretty cool picture.
Nice, rocking the Dame jersey.
Really, of course, I'm rocking. I had to wear something NBA, but yeah, it was a really cool morning. Really lucky to get to have that experience. It was like once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Nice. Well, let's get to the injury stuff today. There are some questionable tags to tackle. There are some teams on back-to-backs. There are some trade stuff to monitor as well. We've already seen one trade today as the Heat shipped off Dwayne Dedmon and a second-round pick. For what? Who knows? Because that hasn't been reported yet to the San Antonio Spurs. Let's start with the questionable tags tonight. RJ Barrett for the Knicks, listed as questionable. Any indication of his availability tonight?
I'm not going to find that one out. We do have more time on this one because the last time he was out, it happened like literally as they were stepping on court.
Yep.
So yeah, it was even like the games were locked. So really tough break there. But yeah, probably don't know. Probably a good chance to play, right? He's been sick for a couple of days. I would expect him to go. If not, obviously Emmanuel quickly gets to start again. And yeah, it's an illness, first game of the day. So we'll definitely have the information. We'll see if there's any notes on him being managed and things like that.
Yeah. And if RJ Barrett's out, Knicks fans will get another look at future Knicks Hall of Famer Deuce McBride with more minutes as well. Let's move to the Bulls. Alex Caruso, questionable. His name is being circulated a bunch in trade rumors. Second night of back-to-back here. They had a blowout win against San Antonio where starters didn't have a heavy workload last night. DeMar DeRozan also listed questionable with hip soreness, and Patrick Williams listed probable here. What are your thoughts on how the Bulls approach things tonight?
I mean, the back-to-back definitely a factor there. Mentioned the light minutes, 34 for DeRozan. Didn't have to up him too much. Got some garbage time. Seems like a management thing. I didn't see anything. Should note that the right hip was, if you remember back in 2018, he had a really scary hip injury. Had to get stretchered off. Same hip. So maybe something's kind of not right there. Obviously, an injury like that, you kind of can maybe feel it as you get older. But yeah, probably it seems like a management thing to me. Definitely a chance he sits out. Definitely, interesting matchup there. But if he doesn't play, man, they probably have to go to Kobe, right? Need some offense. Still have, Ayu and Patrick Williams for your defense who would be guarding Morant. And yeah, so I don't think they really need another defender. So I think Kobe would get the start if he can't go. But I think DeMar is going to go. I think it's more just like a, hey, let's see how he's feeling kind of a tag. But never. And he's really durable too.
A couple decent passes for Kobe White tonight because Alex Caruso being questionable as well. A couple of things to note here just on the Bulls. One, we expected last night the game could get out of hand. They're playing a really shorthanded San Antonio team. Two, we had speculated on, hey, trade deadline season, there's some guys that they have in Alex Caruso that are being shopped pretty heavily. Caruso did not end up playing last night. Andre Drummond, though, is another name they've been shopping heavily, and he actually played a lot last night. And so it's one of these situations where you could see things kind of go in either direction. For guys who haven't been playing as much, like Drummond, you might see teams look to showcase them a little bit. For players who have played a bunch and teams kind of know what they are, maybe it's a little bit of a different situation. Obviously, this was blowout induced in terms of the role and the playing time for Andre Drummond, but a matchup against another, bigger front court in Memphis, we could see more Andre Drummond minutes tonight as well, especially if they're shorthanded without Caruso or without DeMar DeRozan. Okay, let's move on to the Nuggets, where Jamal Murray gets that midday Q tag on injury management. That's always a concerning one. Zeke Naji questionable here as well. The rest of the Nuggets starters who rested last game are all listed probable here. Aaron Gordon, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Nikola Jokic. So what's your read? Concerns on this midday Q tag for Jamal Murray?
Yeah. Home game though. I think they probably want to play him. We've seen him get this before, and I think he's played more times than not. So I think he's got an okay chance to play. But definitely, that's probably one of the biggest pieces of news on the slate. The LeBron thing, the DeRozan thing, a little bit earlier in the slate too. So that could be big. Could open up some value, especially if they're not really playing Bones Highland. Could see some Bruce Brown value. Maybe you see some Ish Smith as well. But yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that on the DFS show. Don't really have much other than kind of the context for getting late ads. Never really concerning. But again, we've seen this before with this late ad, so it's not as damning as the midday illness tag that we just assume they're not playing now. But yeah, I think that most. But yeah, the big other factor is is Bones going to play? Certainly seems like no. They've got enough bodies too, especially with the guys back. So I would probably expect Bones to sit regardless.
Minnesota is their opponent tonight. They've struggled with Minnesota this year. Rudy Gobert, questionable. Kyle Anderson, questionable. Jordan McLaughlin, questionable. He played 12 minutes in his return last game. Kyle Anderson's had these back spasms keep popping up and bringing in a lot of mid-game injury risk. I think he's had 3 of his last 7 or 8 games. He's played less than 15 minutes, something like that. So that questionable tag certainly seems legitimate. We know the Wolves ones can be challenging at times. What's your read here on Rudy Gobert or Kyle Anderson, Jordan McLaughlin tonight?
Yeah, so I feel pretty good that Rudy Gobert is going to play. We were really surprised when they missed the Warriors game, and I still think that they just kind of chose to set him out that game for maintenance. But yeah, Kyle Anderson's interesting, right? He's had this back spasm thing for over a month, 2 months, most of the season, to put it that way. And there were comments from Finch really the whole year, ever since he suffered it, I should say, that they want to watch his minutes. They're careful. And then last week, man, first quarter, he goes down and he is in pain, man. Goes to the hallway, and you see him go to the ground in agony with his back. Plays the next game and then gets cut out. They basically say they didn't want to bring him back because they didn't need him. They blew the game out. So that wasn't an aggravation. Clearly, prior to that, it was aggravation. You don't go to the back in pain if you don't aggravate your back. So I think they want to try to play him, but man, the downside, he is just so tough to play in DFS, and we'll probably have him be managed either way, right? They're not going to want to play him too many minutes for this thing to keep popping up. Jordan McLaughlin did return, hard cap on him, 12 minutes. Would expect probably a little bit more. Maybe he gets all the non-D'Lo minutes. We've seen them not run together. We've seen McLaughlin even cut into D'Angelo in the playoffs as well, but I wouldn't expect him to play, probably 17 tops.
You mentioned LeBron before. He is questionable tonight. He is 36 points away from setting the all-time scoring record in the NBA. Many have speculated that, I believe it's Thursday night's game against Milwaukee. Is it Thursday or Friday that they're playing next?
Thursday.
Thursday night's game against Milwaukee. They're home tonight against the Thunder. Home against Milwaukee on Thursday night. National TV game. A lot of people have tied together that this was a date that mathematically it looked like it might operate and land around. And also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar started his career with Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a premier opponent with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So a lot of people have been kind of circling Thursday during the course of the season as the target. We'll note Saturday is another national TV game for them. They're in Golden State though. It's away from home. What are your thoughts on how the number that he's away, 36, it's kind of a big number, but he's averaging 30 a game this year. How do you think that impacts it, if at all, his availability in the Q tag tonight? We've got Austin Reeves expected back tonight and Anthony Davis listed probable for the Lakers.
Definitely expect him to play, and Vegas is baking in. They know people want to bet this, man, because for a guy to be 36 points for LeBron, who's not usually lined that high. LeBron's usually lined 20 and a half, 29 and a half. To get a 6-7 point boost, that would be, plus 300 kind of stuff. And then now it's plus 140. So they're getting a good handle on that one. But he's playing, man, right? TNT. I think that maybe he goes for it. My friend's actually really into this, and I was like, dude, it's a bad bet. I went like plus 140 on it, but yeah, I think he's got a shot at it. Definitely think there's a chance, but I would say it's either this game or the next one for sure. But I don't know if I buy the. He's trying to do it against Milwaukee and all that. I think he's going to try to go for it tonight. If he gets it, great. If he doesn't, then he'll do it on Thursday for almost because he's scoring 36 points in 2 games.
Right. So my take on this is, I certainly don't think he's managing his points expectation to break it against a certain team. Definitely don't think he's doing that because they are not good enough to afford him doing that. They need to get wins wherever they can get wins. I also don't think he's going to be trying for it unless the game situation dictates it. I think he's going to play the game completely normally and do everything he can to win the game. Cause I think that's the most important thing from LeBron's perspective. Now, if he's 4 points away in the final 2 minutes and the game's tight, is he more likely to take some shots? Probably. But I don't think he's naturally coming out. I don't think this is like Kobe's last game where he's coming out and shooting the ball 45 times. I don't think that's going to be the case. That's kind of my take on the LeBron situation. I do expect him to play tonight, but I really don't expect the game flow to be any different whatsoever other than trying to win the game. If the game gets out of hand and he's close, that's a different thing. And I think he'll try to push for it just to get done with, just not have it linger over. But I don't think he's going to do anything different in the start of the game, which might create some value, could create some value in like first quarter if the line is lined differently, which I haven't looked at. But if it's lined differently than is normal first quarter, like let's say it's lined at 1/4 of this new elevated line, which I assume is 35.5. Actually, I haven't looked at the.
Is it 35? It was 31.5 yesterday on FanDuel.
Okay,
probably went up.
I just assume they're marking it right towards the number. But if it's 1/4 of an elevated line, then there might be some value in betting the first quarter under. Just because I really don't think he's going to come out specifically trying to get the record. I think they're going to try to get wins. They need to get wins. Okay. Let's move on.
One thing to add, shout out to Rodney Hood for that defense against Kobe that game.
Yeah. Let's move to the doubtfuls and the outs. We did get clarity on the Nets side of the trade. They're on a back-to-back tonight. No Spencer Dinwiddie, no Dorian Finney-Smith, still no Seth Curry, no Yuta Watanabe as well, and Kevin Durant all out. So it's once again Cam Thomas's world. Him and Edmund Sumner continue to blast off with the absence of all these guards. Any other notes on the Nets?
Who needs Kyrie when you got Cam Thomas? Obviously I'm kidding. I posted something on Twitter yesterday, and of course people took it like I was being serious. I mean, that's what Twitter does. But I mean, numbers speak for themselves, man. I mean, this guy is scoring at will. Certainly not expecting him to repeat these performances. They've just been completely out of the blue. Probably Mikal going to guard him, probably, right? Expecting these guys, playing pretty big minutes. Definitely think that Ben's going to play also. So that's probably, I think Sumner's more at risk. I think I think Cam's been too good. I think it would just be wrong.
Also, if you think about what the skill sets are in terms of Ben Simmons, Edmund Sumner's skill sets match up much closer to Ben Simmons than Cam Thomas's, right? Sumner has obviously some offensive punch to him. He scored 29 and 23 points in the last 2 games, but he's more of a kind of longer defender type. Cam Thomas is a pure firecracker from a scoring perspective, and
they need Kyrie.
Exactly. They need the scoring. So I would agree with you as well that I think Sumner is more likely to move to the bench in the spot.
There's a chance Ben comes off the bench too, right? I mean, that's
for sure.
I would say it's probably like almost 50-50, just given the knee injury he's had.
Manage the minutes.
Manage the minutes. Yeah, maybe you want to have him out there closing, which maybe they don't. But either way, Yuta played some 5, so that helps Day'Ron Sharpe a little bit. He would probably get all the non-Claxton minutes. So maybe
probably honestly another case for Ben coming off the bench is the lack of Yuta as another guy that could play the 5, just separating Simmons' minutes from Claxton as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think there's a pretty darn good chance Ben Simmons is coming off the bench tonight.
Yeah, so yeah, probably. I think I would almost go 50-50. Sounds like
Yeah,
I think you're with me there.
yeah,
But yeah, TJ Warren should be there. Minutes have just been disgusting. They're not playing him a lot, so he's kind of dead. Royce's minutes should be fine. Freaking killed us yesterday. Made all his threes early. But yeah, mostly I think we covered it.
yeah. All right. Mo Bamba still suspended for the Magic. Nothing new to report there. You did leave a note that the Grizzlies don't have their G League guys available today. John Morant expected back, and Jaren Jackson not on the injury report there. Any other nuggets you want to drop on Memphis?
No, pretty straightforward. We should see Ja back. It was not even listed in the injury report. We saw him miss a game over the weekend. Curious if it was not too injured because there
Yeah.
was a lot of story stuff. Maybe he just wanted a game off or something. But yeah, should be back in the starting lineup. Minutes have been pretty full. They play again on. Yeah, they are off for 2 days, and they've been off
Yeah.
for a couple of days as well. So Ja is quite rested. He gets a Chicago team,
Yep.
which can be very vulnerable defensively, especially if they don't have Caruso.
Yep.
So the John Morant and Jaren Jackson we saw last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, they would really up his minutes because they knew they had time off. And this fits the bill. Home game, you're playing terribly. Hopefully DeMar's
Yep.
playing the other side to keep it close. You could paint a really nice picture of playing some Grizzlies guys today.
Yeah. And Ja's, complaining that the media doesn't like the Grizzlies and everybody hates them and all these different things. So maybe a little narrative there to have some added emphasis for Ja. I will say this, man, you can't be the team that talks all the ish possible and then complain that people don't like you. You can't be both. You can't do the two things. Like people will like you when you do that and you win. That's on you. If you want to be like now, stop acting like you're at a place that you haven't gotten to before.
They're leaning all the way into being unlikable.
Yeah, like this is all
and
the
they have
stuff
Dylan
that
Brooks,
they're doing. It's just outrageous. It's just absolutely outrageous. Like be the Detroit Pistons of my youth, of the 80s and 90s, where like everybody hates them and they're cool with everybody hating them. Like, they like that.
Yep.
But the minute you hit a little rough patch here and you're like, woe is us, we're the only team people are paying attention to that's losing. Like, come on, man. You brought that all on yourself.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to
their Twitter account makes you feel so old. Like I gotta turn the notifications off. Like all the slang terms, like man, I know my slang, but it's like God, I feel so old reading these tweets on their account. Anyways.
Let's move to the probables and the returns. Devin Booker is expected back tonight. It's been a long layoff for Devin Booker. The Suns are starting to get healthier. They're playing better basketball of late. You're expecting a minutes limit tonight on Devin Booker, I would assume.
Yeah, probably a pretty hard one because they brought him back on Christmas, and it was quite a mistake. Here we are, February 7th, and they've been actually playing pretty decent lately. But expecting him to start, I would probably say, I haven't looked at minutes. I've been obviously busy. But I would say I'd probably be 25. I'd be pretty hard on this one.
Okay.
Just given that it's an aggravation that he's been off for a while. Like, oh my, if he gets hurt again, that's like, oh no. So I think it would be a pretty decent. We've seen Cam Johnson have a really rocky ramp up from an injury that doesn't require quite as much from being a meniscus tear. There is, but your aggravation risk, you don't like re-tear your meniscus. It's just not the same. So I think that this is going to be a pretty steady ramp up. I'd be really surprised if they up him to like 32 or something like that.
And who would you expect moves to the bench in this scenario to accommodate Booker's return?
I think it's got to be Craig. And I was thinking about that if it was, maybe they were playing Chicago or somebody and DeMar was playing, maybe that would make sense. But I think they like Craig. I think they like Cam in the starting lineup. That's their lineup. So I think that you want to get chemistry back as soon as you can. So I would expect Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton in the starting five.
All right. As Larry knows, I'm of course on top of all the slang in the Twitter streets. I'm very, very hip, as they say. Nobody says that. Let's move to Jonas Valanciunas and Brandon Ingram expected back for the Pelicans. Pelicans played well in their absence. Brandon Ingram's had a monstrous role since he's returned. Really, really big usage rate. CJ McCollum's kind of taken a back seat. Any other notes here for the Pels?
No, great to see Valanciunas back. The injury looked pretty rough for a big guy like that. So great to see him back in the starting lineup. Would expect modest minutes, probably close to 50-50. with a split 24-24, meaning BI was likely management, so I would expect him back to full minutes. We've seen him play mid-30s. Mentioned the increased usage. Matchups pretty good. Probably see a lot of D100 Hunter, which I think is fine. But yeah, I think Ingram's in a decent spot today.
Najee Marshall takes the biggest hit here.
Yep, of course. Yeah, they'll be starting CJ, Herb, Trey, BI, and Valanciunas.
Yeah. And then Oklahoma City Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back here. The Bulls and Brooklyn are the teams on the second night of a back-to-back here. We have filings from the Bulls and from Brooklyn. We do not from Oklahoma City yet. Would not expect to get that until later, given the West Coast nature of where they played last night and where they're playing today. So would expect that probably at the 3:30 instead of the 2:30, but we'll see if that's coming up now. Anything you're monitoring here? Oklahoma City just got blown out last night by unbelievable shooting from Klay Thompson, 12 for 16 from three. The Warriors as a whole shot over 50% from three. It was just an old school Warriors assault from 3-point range. How do you think, if any, impacts on the Thunder tonight?
The only note we have is Dort's not back yet. So probably expecting, maybe they go back to Kenrich. We've seen the double Jalen J-Dub, or whatever you want to call it, Len Williams, as you would say.
Yeah,
Len. Yeah, that's the standard practice now. But yeah, I think they go back to Kenrich. I don't have a strong lean there, but we've seen Lynn has been better. Jay Will. So
yeah,
hitting threes.
Len greater than Rich, greater than Lynn, but we'll see in a matchup that requires a little bit more size with the Lakers.
Should note, we're probably not betting any unders, man, on OKC. I don't feel comfortable doing that on a back-to-back. But
meaning late news or rest situations could come up out of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So. I think that's fair. Although I will say this, I think if the players have any say, they didn't play heavy minutes last night. I think players would want to play in LA against LeBron in a game that potentially he could break the all-time scoring record.
I agree. Yeah. I'd be surprised if people were sitting.
I think if the players had any say, which I don't know the program and how it works in OKC, these are all young guys. It could be a straight performance management training staff has all the say. I would think the players would really want to be on the floor in this game. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I think so, but better safe than sorry.
Of course. All right, that will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis show. As always, please support the people who are supporting us. The show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money, running in many formats of NFL contests for the big game. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare each hour projections to their fantasy Pick'em games. If you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. All right, myself and Mike Gallagher will be breaking down the slate from a DFS perspective tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern behind the paywall at Established Show. Make sure to check us out there. As always, if you are uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we do ask for your hard-earned clicks. Please subscribe to get notifications whenever we go live on this page, including our special Thursday trade deadline show that we'll be doing at 3:30 Eastern time, breaking down all of the trades. Mike and myself, and perhaps other members of the ETR NBA team, giving thoughtful analysis from a DFS, fantasy, and real-life NBA perspective in terms of how those trades go down. You'll want to be there on Thursday with us at 3:30 Eastern. You can also smash that like button if you enjoy the content that we're producing. You can feed that algorithm, help us feed our families, and we'll keep feeding you the injury report analysis that you need to make your DFS lineups, your prop bets, and your spread and total bets. Nom, 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 nom. See you tomorrow, everybody.